Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, Macular Degeneration New Zealand are launching a new website for the start of their Awareness Week. 1 in 7 Kiwis over 50 will get macular degeneration, and it is the leading cause of legal blindness of people over 55. The macular part of the eye is responsible for detailed vision, and it is used for driving, reading, recognising faces and watching television. Trustee Viv Jones says the new website has been launched to help early detection, as it can save sight.
Well, it is really an upgrading of the website for our Awareness Week, and on the first page is the self-test of the Amsler grid, which is so important that people have the ability to test themselves to see if there is any change in their eyesight. And our message to everybody is, if there is a change in your eyesight, you must get your eyes tested with your optometrist.
A third of Kiwis, particularly young adults and women, are unable to afford adequate heating this winter, a new survey has found. The Canstar Blue survey of 2,060 electricity consumers has found 36% of people cannot afford to heat their homes. Of the 36%, 45% were from Generation Y and 41% were women. It also found 3/4 of those who responded had changed their behaviour to limit their electricity use, including switching providers. Canstar General Manager Derek Bonner says young people are more likely to face a chilly winter. Now for our region's weather for the weekend. Hamilton, your Saturday will be a mixed bag. Fine in the morning with an increasing high cloud and then rain in the evening. Your expected high is 17 and an overnight low of 10. Tauranga, fine in the morning and then becoming overcast in the afternoon with light winds. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 13. Sunday for you, Hamilton will be raining and then it's easing to showers in the afternoon with a northeast breeze that turns to a southwest. Your expected high is 19 and an overnight low of 9. Tauranga, your Sunday will be raining with a chance of some heavy falls. They will ease later though to showers. The northerly wind will turn into a westerly. Your expected high is a 20 and an overnight low of 11. Just ahead, the sensitive areas of our coastline. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The Bay of Plenty Regional Council is seeking feedback from the public of where sensitive areas are when it comes to an oil spill. I spoke with the Maritime team to find out about all things Tier 2 oil spill plan. What is the regional Tier 2 oil spill plan?
A regional council under the Maritime Transport Act is required to have a prepared plan for responding to small oil spills. The national framework is a Tier 1 site, which is a fuel jetty at a marina, or it's a small tank truck that refuels something like a commercial fishing vessel. And then there's the regional plan, which fits over the top of that. We have more information about the area, the region, and the sensitivities, and we've also got extra equipment and staff, so we can jump in over the top and assist. And then over the top of that is the national plan or the Tier 3 plan. So we fit into the middle of the system.
Was there one of these before the RENA?
Yes, we had a Tier 2 plan prior to the RENA. It was about due to be reviewed. So yeah, RENA coming along delayed that, but at the same time that's been quite helpful for us.
What classes a Tier 2 oil spill?
So a Tier 2 oil spill is anything that's spilt from a Tier 1 site that enters the water, so it enters the coastal marine area. Or it could be anything up to 15,000 litres of heavy fuel oil, and with an estimated clean-up cost of $250,000.
How are these new sensitive sites identified?
The new sensitive sites have been quite a win for us in many respects, because we had 28 sensitive sites in our previous Tier 2 response plan, and we now have approximately 117. So they've been identified through the RENA response and the wider involvement of the community the local iwi groups, residents groups, surf clubs, and they've come about by saying we have a concern over this area or that area. They've justified it by using the habitat, nesting areas for birds, mangrove, swamp areas, marshlands. They've been identified as sensitive so that they can be prioritised in a response.
What makes an area of the coastline sensitive?
Just going back to that previous statement, it's the area that needs to be prioritised. So if there's an area of marshland, it's a lot harder to clean up a marshland area than it is a sandy beach. And it takes a lot longer, it's a lot more labour intensive, and it will take a lot longer for it to re-establish itself afterwards.
Sensitive Site 60 and 66 is the coastline of Motiti Island. What makes the whole of Motiti Island sensitive?
There's a number of things that make Motiti Island sensitive, especially the cultural impacts, because they gather all their food or kaimoana from the sea, and there's the little blue penguins. They've got little burrows and everything in there that we need to keep clean. There's also the fur seal haul-out areas, and there's also a gecko, quite a rare gecko on Motiti as well. So they all become quite sensitive quite quickly.
The whole of Ohiwa Harbour is sensitive. Why is that?
So Ohiwa Harbour is really important in the fact that it's a low energy system. So the tide flows in and the tide flows out, but a lot of water stays within the estuary, and because it stays in the estuary, the oil will stay in the estuary, and it's marshlands and mangroves and seagrasses, so again, a lot harder to clean.
What information would the Regional Council give oil responders in the event of an oil spill?
So initially, we'll make a site assessment of the spill. We'll look at where it's going, where it's come from, try and stop it. And the information that's passed on to the responders is what teams they're going to be working in, how they're going to communicate with each other, how they're going to go about putting out booms, containing the spill, and also cleaning it up.
The council was given some special oil response equipment in 1993. Tell us about that.
So the Oil Pollution Fund works through Maritime New Zealand and the Marine Pollution Response Service arm of Maritime New Zealand, and they have done a risk assessment nationally, and they have provided equipment to every region that we are allowed to use in a spill. And we can exercise and train our staff with that same equipment, and that equipment is basically booms and pumps and skimmers. There's sorbent material as well. It's all the pieces of kit you really want to have in your back pocket.
In the event of an oil spill, what can be done to protect a sensitive area?
This is where the priorities come into play, and the big thing for us is firstly it's stopping a spill and then preventing its spread. And if we can prevent its spread by capturing it at the time, then that's wonderful. But sometimes it might actually be a case of putting a boom out and deflecting it somewhere else so that that sensitive site is not affected.
Is there anything that can be done before an oil spill to protect an area?
The plans, and that's the bonus of having plans, is you can look at it, you can see where things might be going, and you've got an idea of what you might need to do before the oil gets that way. So we might be able to contain the spill before it gets to that site.
You've had a few of the meetings already, so what has been discussed at some of these meetings?
A lot of the information that's been fed back to us is actually around the sensitive sites, and people are very interested in knowing that their patch, their area of interest is being looked after and where it sits in our ranking system, and they have been positive to date, very positive about we've got their site. But there have been a few extra sites that people have asked us to look at. One of those is the Centre Bank in Tauranga Harbour. It is a pipi bed, and we didn't actually have that on our plan, so we'll go back and reassess that.
You can view the plan and a detailed map of the proposed sensitive areas on the Council's website. Feedback can be emailed to maritime@bop.rc.gov.nz. And the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's 24-hour pollution hotline is 0800 88 4 88 3. Coming up, 50 years in our regions. Welcome back. The Waikato Bay of Plenty division of the Cancer Society recently celebrated 50 years in our regions. We caught up with them to find out what has happened over some of those 50 years. Oh, Sarah, the Waikato and Bay of Plenty division of the Cancer Society has made it to 50 years. How are you guys planning on celebrating that?
Yeah, we're really excited that we've made it so far. I mean, for a charity that's run on donations from the community, it's a great achievement. So really excited, and we've actually put together a bit of a keepsake looking at the history of our division, so that if anyone does want it, they can contact one of our officers to get a copy. And then we've got a few bits and pieces kind of planned, and we'll probably have a bit of a celebration around our AGM time in September.
Tell me more about the book.
So it's just a small keepsake, and it just really looks back at what started it all and what we've done since. We started as a division more looking at education and tobacco control and that sort of thing, and we've just diversified a lot more in that we now offer the support services of our liaison nurses and care like that. So we've changed a bit in those 50 years, but it's been really, really good to look back and just see how much we've grown.
It's interesting that tobacco was still a problem back 60 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those amazing services that you talked about. The history of the Lions Lodge. What services do they provide? A little bit of that history there.
Yeah, sure. Well, the Lodge was one of the projects that they started with back in 1963, and it was on its site at Braemar Hospital. No, sorry, not at Braemar Hospital, that's where we are now. Back at the Waikato Hospital, there was our original lodge was there, and then we've actually opened our brand new Lions Lodge, which is at the old Braemar Hospital site on the corner of Lake Road and Tainui Street in Hamilton. And so the lodge it's a home away from home pretty much for those who are undergoing cancer treatment at Waikato Hospital, the treatment centre there, and it's a place for them to come and get free accommodation and meals and support while they're undergoing their treatment, and it's for those who just live a little bit too far away to make it a reasonable distance to travel every day.
And so that's fully funded by the Cancer Society?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Because also the health promotion team have done quite a bit with, SunSmart and Undercover Cody. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So Undercover Cody is our SunSmart turtle mascot, and he's pretty famous in the Waikato and Bay of Plenty with the school kids, and he is just celebrated his 10-year birthday. So last year we took him on a roadshow through the Waikato and Bay of Plenty, and he went to 150 schools over about 3 weeks. It's a very busy turtle. And yeah, he went and saw all these kids and brought them all a little prezi, and it was really great, like just to see the kids with Cody, and they all know his dance and they all know who he is, and it's really exciting to see. And we also actually launched an iPhone app last year to coincide with Cody's birthday, and so it's one of those ones where you actually get to dress up Cody in his different outfits and with his different accessories, but you've got to make sure that he's ready to go out in the sun, so he's got to be sun smart, and so to be able to complete the game, his outfit's got to be a sun smart one.
Sounds like a very educational tool, because Waikato and Bay of Plenty division are actually the ones that started up Undercover Cody, aren't they?
Yes, yep. He's our little mascot that we started.
Yeah, well, that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what are some of the other achievements that the Waikato and Bay of Plenty division have started?
Sure, well, we've been very involved in tobacco control, and recently we've actually been quite involved with getting Hamilton City Council to go smoke free. They put their policy in place so that a lot of public areas and their events and so on are smoke free. With SunSmart, we've actually our region has the highest number of SunSmart accredited schools, the highest percentage in New Zealand, so that's really exciting. We've upped our number of liaison nurses, so we've actually got 7 across the region. So these are nurses who are able to come out and for people who are undergoing, who have cancer, and for their families, and they can work with them through their cancer journey and just offer support and help liaise with their doctors or medical team if they need a little bit of extra support there. And just, they're really, really great nurses. They'll just talk you through, just be there for you really and offer information and support. As I said, we've celebrated 10 years of Relay for Life in Hamilton this year, and we have relays in Hamilton, Rotorua and Tauranga. This will be the 24th Daffodil Day this year. Yes, 24 daffodils. So that's a national fundraising event, but yeah, it's really awesome to have been involved in it for that long.
How does the Waikato and Bay of Plenty usually fare against the rest of the country on Daffodil Day?
I think we do pretty well actually, pretty up there. We've got really supportive communities and they all pull together, and we've got amazing Daffodil Day coordinators in each region and each area, and they do amazing jobs. There's some amazing people out there supporting us.
Now tell us a little bit more about the Relay for Life. What is the Relay for Life?
So this is our second biggest fundraiser after Daffodil Day, and it's a 22-hour relay. It's a team event with teams of 10 or more relaying through the night, and they do fundraising prior to the event. And at the heart of it, there's also a really great community aspect where we celebrate our survivors by having an opening ceremony dedicated to our survivors, and then later in the evening we have a candlelight ceremony which is dedicated to remembering those that we've lost to cancer.
The Cancer Society would like to thank all their sponsors and volunteers that have made the 50 years possible. Just ahead, David Shearer. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. A few members of the Labour Party were in Tauranga this week. We went along to a Grey Power meeting to see what David Shearer's thoughts were on the government's budget. What are your main concerns for the budget for 2013 to 2014?
Well, the budget didn't really deliver for hard-working New Zealanders. I mean, if people are watching this, I would challenge them to look and say, what has it made a difference? What difference has it made in my life? Their petrol has gone up 3 cents a litre. There is nothing that is really delivered for them in terms of jobs. In fact, joblessness is supposed to remain high, according to the budget's predictions. So, bottom line, nothing in it. A lot on there for vested interests. Some of the big corporates and stuff will be pretty happy, but not for hard-working New Zealanders.
So when Mr English delivered the budget, he said that disposable household incomes would rise 20% over the next 4 years. Do you see that happening? No,
I don't buy that at all. I mean, just a little while ago they announced they were going to create 170,000 jobs and they created 8,000. So no, I mean, there's been promise after promise in each of Mr English's budgets. He's not delivered on them. So I don't think anybody's really believing that he's serious.
What do you think are the challenges facing New Zealand financially in the near future?
Look, obviously for us it's about balancing our books as the government. That's a given. But then the next thing is transforming our economy so that we become a high-wage, job-rich economy. And at the moment we are not a high-wage economy, we're a low-wage economy and sliding. Secondly, we've got to make business environment much better, much healthier, so that the businesses are able to prosper. And right now, many of our businesses, for example, are having difficulty exporting because our exchange rate is too high. We need to have more savings so that we have a capital pool to invest into businesses. We need to make sure that property speculation doesn't get in the way of investment into businesses as well, through a capital gains tax. Whole range of different things we need to do. Bring down power prices. Power prices are way too high. Build more affordable homes. Two big benchmark Labour Party policies. We need to do that so that hard-working Kiwis actually get a chance.
Do you think something should be done around the high New Zealand dollar?
I do believe that the high New Zealand dollar is killing many of our exporters, particularly our manufacturing exporters, but also our farmers as well. We're not getting as much as we should for our exports. We're competing against countries that have brought their exchange rate down, which means ours are too high, which means our prices overseas are too high, and it's not working for New Zealand. So that's something we need to do.
Do you think cutting down on ACC levies is a good idea?
Well, ACC levies are too high. We've had a report came out 2 years ago saying it's too high. The reason they've been left too high and businesses are paying out too much is because the government needs that money in order to get into surplus. The way you get into surplus is not by raising petrol taxes. and keeping ACC levies way too high. It's by growing the economy and creating an economy that will actually provide the tax back to the government that will enable the government to be able to pay for its deficit and get it back into surplus again. It's not doing that. It's keeping other costs way too high. It's killing business in the same time.
Recent asset sales led to $1.5 billion into the Future Investment Fund. Is that not a good thing for the New Zealand economy?
You know, we used to be able to fund schools and hospitals and roads through our taxes. What this government is saying to us, what John Key is saying to us, that we need to sell our assets off. Assets that we paid off in the form of dams and power stations years and years ago. And what we should be doing is growing our economy so we can pay for schools and hospitals the right way, rather than selling off our assets, so that just 2.5% of New Zealanders and foreign corporates own a half of our power companies. 3 weeks ago, we owned 100% of them. Now 2.5% of people own half of them. That's not right.
But surely $1.5 billion to the economy is a good thing.
Look, $1.5 billion, but at what cost? At the cost of losing our asset. So the way that this government is progressing, we sell things in order to fund things in the future. But as we sell them off, we don't have the dividend. We don't have those things anymore. We can't sell them twice. That is, anybody will tell you, you know, you sell your car off, you sell your house off. It's not a way of getting ahead. You sell your business off, you don't generate an income. Selling is not a way forward. It's growing our economy is the way forward.
In Mr English's conclusion for his budget, he said that the economy was growing and families are benefiting from that. Do you agree?
Oh, look, those are empty words. I mean, it's the sort of stuff that Mr English has been saying for years. And quite frankly, when I go around the country, and being here in Tauranga at the moment and talking to a crowd today, talking to the families that I met this morning, they're certainly not any better off after the last 4 or 5 years. They're telling me they're finding it harder and harder, and their petrol price has just gone up. Their power price has gone up 5 times faster than inflation. We need to bring power prices down, and that's why Labor came out with a policy to cut the super profits off of the power companies and give some of that super profit to consumers. Means that the companies are still profitable, but the consumers get a better deal and they save up to $300 a year.
That is the news for today and this week. We really want you to be involved. So like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back next week with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.